for, and I'm the business development manager for the British Institute of Recruiters, who are a professional body in recruitment and the HR industry. Now, to mark the new relationship between ourselves and APSCo, we'll be presenting a webinar today on how to get your hands on the General Apprenticeship Funding Pot. This will be presented by myself and Charlotte Clark, the Head of Talent at Talent Development at APSCo. Now, just before I start, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. We'll be recording today's seminar, so anyone who's not been able to make it, and for anyone that is here wants a copy, we'll be there. But because of that, we'll be muting everyone during this webinar. However, if you have any questions during it, if you want to go to webinar message section in the control panel, we'll bring them up at the end of the presentation. Okay? Now, without any further ado, we're going to start the webinar. Now, the first slide here deals with why we're all here today. So there's a lot of noise about levy payers and levy pots, but 98% of the recruitment industry are SMEs, small to medium agencies, who have less than £3 million turnover. So the apprenticeship levy really means nothing to these guys. So the purpose of today's webinar is to let the so-called little guys, in inverted commas, the SMEs, know how to get their hands on the General Apprenticeship Funding Pot. So we're going to talk through with you today about the benefit of apprenticeships, upskill training, how to qualify for free training, the economic benefits of employing apprentices, the tax breaks you'll get for also employing apprentices. But we'll also explain how to use these government funds to upskill existing staff. And at the end, we'll also tell you guys how to get the ball rolling, how you can get your company signed up to get these incentives. Now, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell everyone here or explain to everyone what the British Institute of Recruiters are all about. So I'm going to give you a quick explanation about that. Now, we were established as the Institute of Recruiters in 2010. In 2016, we became the British Institute of Recruiters, and the British Institute of Recruiters is a professional body governing practice in the recruitment industry and the HR industry in the UK. We're a non-profit professional body, and as part of our role as a non-profit advisory service, we update recruitment agencies about government incentives, government legislations that directly affect them. We're also the only professional recruitment and HR institute delivering recruitment and HR apprenticeships. And as we represent the highest standard in recruitment, we offer these programs run by industry experts, and we're passionate about delivering the most relevant industry-specific schemes out there. Okay, now, I'm sure Charlotte wouldn't be doing her job if she didn't tell you and explain a bit more about APSCo and what they represent. So I'm going to hand over to Charlotte.
Thank you, Aaron. Hi, as Aaron mentioned, my name's Charlotte Clark, Head of Talent Development for APSCo. And APSCo, the Association of Professional Staffing Companies, have been representing professional recruiters since 1999. We're the only recruitment trained body with an international profile and a suite of services designed to support the global expansion plans of its members. With a distinctive voice of the professional recruitment sector, and offer expert support and events designed by and delivered by recruitment experts. We've become recognised as a trusted badge of quality and an international profile with separate operations in the UK, Germany, Singapore and Australia, representing members we respect in a profession we understand. Thanks, Aaron.
No problem. Very good. Thanks, Charlotte. I'm going to move on to the next slide. This is about government funding available to SMEs. Now, the levy, as it's called, is really an employer tax, and it's been introduced with the aim of creating 3 million new apprentices in England over the next 3 years. Now, it's been formulated to help employers recruit and train these apprentices and upskill raising money to fund other things as well. Now, I'll quickly go through what the apprenticeship scheme is, even so it probably doesn't mean much to you guys in terms of being SMEs. But in April 2017, the government introduced an apprenticeship scheme where businesses with a payroll of £3 million plus were required to pay a levy, a tax, which can only be reclaimed on apprenticeship or upskill training. Now, the levy is approximately 0.5% of your wage bill. Therefore, there's funds set aside which are there for you guys to reclaim, to upskill or bring on new employees. Now, the levy, though, if you're not a levy payer, as the government will see it, or you have a payroll of less than £3 million, you'll be seen as a non-levy payer, which means the government will incentivise you to put people through training schemes. So what they'll actually do is pay 90% to the apprenticeship or upskill training programme, and you'll just need to fund 10% of the qualification costs. So obviously it's a nice way of them funding and getting you through and training your employees. Okay? Now, something which is a bit less well known, but probably something which is most interesting to you guys, is how you can actually get free training and incentives from the government. Now, it's available basically to anybody who employs an employee 19 years old or below. Not only will the training be provided for free, but if you employ someone who is 19 years old or below, you will actually receive £1,000 in incentives, which can be used however you wish. Okay? I will say here that employer incentive grants is paid directly to the training provider, and the training provider will issue these grant incentives directly to the employer. So that means that funds are released in a staggered payment. Okay? So the way we do it is we will issue £500 within the first 120 days of the apprenticeship starting the programme, and then the next £500 will be released upon completion of the course, usually with these courses after 365 days. And like I say, the grant can be used however the employer wishes. It doesn't have to be reinvested into training. It can be used however you want. Now, another attractive proposition to employers is that if you employ an apprentice under the age of 25, you no longer have to pay the employer national insurance contributions on their earnings. So it's another great way of saving your company money. Now, one of the most attractive things about recruiting an apprentice, apart from the fact that you get to mould the star of the future, shall we say, is that employers can actually pay apprentices the national apprenticeship minimum wage, which is a lot below the normal national minimum wage. Now, the current apprenticeship minimum wage is £3.70 per hour. You can pay them this for the first year of employment, but after the first year, the employer will be entitled to the national minimum wage. The other stipulations attached here is they must be paid for all hours worked, inclusive of the training they are put through on the apprenticeship programme, and they must also receive a minimum of 20 days holiday plus the bank holidays. Now, I will stress here through our experience, I'm sure Charlotte will echo this, is that the British Institute of Recruiters would say that the more you pay employees, the better employees you will attract, obviously. So it's not our recommendation to pay someone £3.70 per hour, but that's what you're entitled to do. Okay? Now, the next slide here highlights the government pricing for the most relevant courses to recruitment agencies. Now, please note that no training provider created these prices. The government did this, so no matter who you're speaking to, they should be telling you the same prices you're seeing here. And it's also important to recognise, because most of you in the government's eyes are seen as non-levy payers, the prices here are the full prices. So you will only have to pay 10% of the prices you're seeing. So for most of these courses, apart from the customer service, they're all £5,000. For non-levy payers, that means you would have to pay £500 which is the 10%, and the rest of the pricing is covered by government. They will issue that to the training provider on a monthly basis. Okay. I'll go through the courses here, and I'll do it I'll just talk about the most relevant ones. So the recruitment resourcer is made for 180 recruiters, or internal recruiters, I'd say. It deals with candidate attraction, compliance, employment law. Now, upon completion, the learner will automatically earn a qualification in recruitment resourcing. So they'll get a Cert RR after their name. So it'll look like they're becoming a doctor, okay, with all these letters after their name. Then the next one's called the recruitment consultant course. This is designed for a 360 recruiter. It'll deal with not only candidates, the attraction, the compliance, the employment law, but we'll also deal with business development, attracting new employers, taking meetings and all that good stuff. Now, upon completion of this course, the learner will automatically earn a qualification in principles of recruiting practice, a Cert PRP. So again, great post-nominal letters after their name. Then the third one, which is probably the most relevant as well, is the recruitment team leader. Now, the recruitment team leader is designed for those top billers moving into a manager position or just general recruitment managers. It's a fantastic course. It teaches you about creating KPIs, leading from the front and all that good stuff. But what the actual learner gets when they complete it is a diploma in management. So they get a DIPM after their name. Now, what they also get is professional recognition. So with the manager's course, they can either choose to be under the Chartered Management Institute, the CMI, or the ILM, the Institute of Leadership and Management. So again, great professional recognition for that. The other one, which is also popular with recruitment agencies, is HR. This is designed to teach frontline support to managers and employees. It's to understand how to implement HR solutions to all compliance issues which arise. Having no HR representative puts your company at major risk, as you probably know. Could cost your company, thousands, millions, or even worse, potentially closure if you do it wrong. So it's a really great course. And this course as well is the only one that actually offers a qualification in HR. So you'll get at the end of this a Cert HR. But also what's interesting here is on successful completion, the learner will be able to receive an associate membership to the CIPD. Okay? Now, one thing I will say, all the learners will get letters after their name and professional recognition. So they'll all get membership to the British Institute of Recruiters for going there, to get the BIOR after their name. Okay, now the next slide deals with recruiting apprentices. One of the most common questions I get asked after they understand about the funding is, that's great, but will you help us identify new employees, apprentices as they say. Now, one thing I will say here is you don't need to use the funding just for new employees. You can use it for upskilling existing staff. There is no age limit. We have people going through courses at 60 years old plus, up to retirement age. The only minimum age is 16. No educational background. We have people who are doctorates, MBAs going through these courses. However, if you are looking to use it to identify new employees and maybe young employees, these are the ways that all training providers should offer you. Okay? And there is one here which we offer you, which is on top of that. Now, all training providers should offer you government apprenticeship job site. That's findanapprenticeship.service.gov.uk for anyone that's interested. They should also advertise it in the job centre, and they should all have links to local universities and colleges. Now, what we can offer you is a network. Now, we know that you're not going to use a rec-to-rec with this job, because ultimately it doesn't pay that much. And on top of that, we know that you have your own job to do, so probably it won't be at your top of the list to identify the right candidate, especially someone that's coming in at such a low level potentially. So what we do is we have thousands of members, and we have something as part of the offering called the Split Fee Network, where our members can share jobs between them. What we've network. We pay them the finder's fee upon delivery out of the government funding that we'll receive. So we'll act as your RPO. So the recruiter will never be contacted by yourselves. It'll go through us. But what it does ensure that all candidates are pre-screened before they're submitted to you. And we also make sure that they're happy with the wage and locality. Because ultimately, with it most probably being low wages, unless the job is at their doorstep, they're not going to last for long. So we make sure they're happy with both the wage and the locality before they're put through to you. It's a nice, great way of doing it. On top of that, we do offer premium job sites. I would expect you all, being a recruitment agency, to have your own premium job site. So my advice would be to advertise the role yourself and recruit for yourself. Ultimately, we're not recruitment agencies. We don't do that. We can help you. But, you know, you've got all of the connections in the world. So I would say that's where I would utilise it. Okay. Now, getting the ball rolling, as this slide's called. Now, if you guys are interested, all you've got to simply do is get in touch with myself or Charlotte. As part of our relationship with APSCo are delivering classroom training at no extra cost to you guys. The cost is offset against the government funding that we've received from the government. So these courses potentially could cost thousands of pounds if you were to go private to APSCo, and you're getting them virtually for nothing. So it's really attractive, very much adds extra value to the apprenticeships that you're going to be going through. Now, the team leader supervisor one, non-levy payers get 3 days APSCo classroom training. I believe the 4 days for the levy payers. The recruitment resource and recruitment consultant for non-levy payers, they get 1 day APSCo classroom training as well. So they go through, respectively, the management development portfolio and the recruitment accelerator portfolio. And that's done during the apprenticeship. Okay. Now, you'll be able to see here at the bottom is myself's contact information, also Charlotte's contact information. I believe we'll be sending out a copy of this to everyone anyway. However, we'll all be contacting you if you've attended and anyone that's signed up. But if you do have any questions, obviously, come directly to us or ask them now. Okay? Now, that leads me on to questions. No, but one thing I will say before we carry on, ultimately the government will fund all or most of the costs to upskill your existing staff. So, you know, get your employees qualified now. The government are always very quick to put their hands in your pocket. So, you know, if the opportunity's there, you know, you put your hands in theirs, you take this opportunity, you take the funding, you skill up your guys, and ultimately take advantage of what's out there, because these are great courses are being done by most of the big players out there. You want to get yourself on the level playing field with everyone. Now, with that, we're going to go ahead and take some time for some questions now. Just a reminder, please be sure to type your questions into the question box in the control panel. Charlotte, are you okay to read the questions?
Yeah, I'll read the question out, and then I'll read the question out, and then maybe you can help me answer them. So the first question is, we were wondering if we were to take an apprentice on, how we might approach commission/stroke incentive payments.
So I'm guessing that's talking about the actual employee when they are employed for you. Ultimately, every employee that you have will fall under your remit. What I will say is it will make it far more attractive when you are looking for an apprentice if there is a commission structure in place. What we found by searching for candidates for the apprenticeship role was a far higher application rate for people who have put in an attractive commission structure or so on. Does that answer your question?
Well, hopefully that will answer it. Okay, so the next question, so I'm reading these out. So the next question is, on average, how many hours to complete the qualification? So I think if you answer that possibly on a weekly point of view, Aaron, that might be helpful.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Official guidelines, and this is probably the most controversial part of the apprenticeship scheme, is there should be a 20% off the job requirement. Okay, so realistically, 20% of the week should be donated to studying. Now, what we do here at the British Institute of Recruiters and APSCo is the actual learning, everything that we do will account for the 20% off the job training. The reality is, through putting people through the training, that it isn't that much time away from office, isn't that much time away from desk, isn't that much time away from their day-to-day working environment. However, what I will say is the official guidelines are 20% off the job training, which will account for how much time they will be studying per week.
Okay, thank you. If anybody's interested, my colleague Emma has created a really interesting one-page document on what constitutes 20% off the job training. So if you email us, we can send that to you. Okay, so I've got another question now, which is on, what is the success pass rate at the moment? So how many of the learners that we're putting through, Aaron, are actually passing?
Well, the actual new apprenticeships for recruitment came in December. So they were on an old framework, and then they created the standards, which came in actually on Christmas. So no one's actually completed these programs as of yet, which doesn't sound great. What we can say is it is reflective of churn. We work in the recruitment industry. As you guys will know, if you are recruitment managers, you are recruitment owners, unfortunately, recruitment has a hell of a churn out there. We haven't had anyone drop out of the course because the course wasn't good enough. What we have had is people who have left the company because recruitment wasn't for them.
Okay.
What I will say is there is a definite high retention and great feedback for the courses of team leader and recruitment consultant. The recruitment resource it has the biggest churn, and that is because it's related to the entrance of working in recruitment, as you can imagine.
Okay, so with that in mind, somebody else has asked if a delegate was to fail, so they get to the end of their 13 months and they don't get through, can they resit, and if they do, does it cost more?
No, I should tell you here, no, the actual, what I'll do here is I'll explain to you how apprenticeships are delivered. Now, initially, we discuss about what program best fits the employee. Then we do the enrolment, and that's where we set out the expectations at the beginning stage of what we expect of the learner and what they should expect of us. And then we do something called an initial assessment, a diagnostics, where we understand the competency and the functional skills of the learner. If the learner doesn't have the appropriate GCSEs in maths and English, we'll get them up to that level. Then after that, we plan the program. So we create an individual learning plan that meets the needs of the learner and the business. And if needs be, we can include, where needed, content from the actual company that we're going to be training. As long as we're hitting the framework and as long as we're hitting the standards, the learner will get the qualification. So we can include existing client training material. Now, we deliver these programs in something which is called blended learning. So there will be monthly tutor visits, and the tutor will come into your office, teach, support, advise, make the learning experience exciting for the individual, and identify if there are any deficiencies in the learner's learning at the time. We'll also introduce them to a state-of-the-art learning platform called Study Course, which will allow them to access learning materials, resources, assignments, upload their achievements, also speak to peer-to-peer, so other people in other organisations are going through it, or people within their organisation that they want to talk to if it's a bigger company.
Can I summarise? Would you mind if I just summarise? Okay, Aaron, because we've got quite a few questions. So in summary, it's everyone's benefit to make sure that learner gets through.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And just one other thing, I know you've got lots of others. Endpoint assessment is done, is the only exam. So it's a professional discussion at the end, and
Okay, thank you. So somebody else asked, if somebody leaves, can they get their money back? The answer to that is no, but they stop contributing from their levy pot. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, so if they're a levy payer, we only get paid for what we teach. So if they were to leave halfway through, we would only be paid for the 6 months we taught them. If they're a non-levy payer, exactly the same, but they would lose their initial 10% fund that they put forward.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so we've had a question here about funding. So you've mentioned that full funding was available for 16 to 19-year-olds. I think some people thought that was 16 to 18, but there is a proviso about the 18 to 19-year-old as well, isn't there?
That's right. We've been told it's 19 years old and below. You will be basically you'll get the program for free if you're a non-levy payer. If you are a levy payer, you will and a non-levy payer, you will receive £1,000 employee incentives for putting them through a program.
Okay. Another question was, can graduates apply for apprenticeship roles? Absolutely. There is no.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, that's right. You were saying, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So, yeah, anybody can apply for an apprentice role, and equally so, any employee can access, or we can access funding for their upskilling. The next place was, the next place is, where do the workshops take place? So if it's the tutor comes to your place of work on their monthly visit. If it's the APSCo workshops, if we're running them as an open course, we'll invite you to our London Bridge offices. If you wanted to do it with larger numbers, i.e. you had 8 learners within your company, we would then send our trainer to you. The next question was, where can we get details of the content of the recruitment courses? If you email me, charlotte.clark@appsco.org, I'll be able to let you have the full portfolio of what would be included. So another question was, Aaron, in the awkward instance of an employee or apprentice not working out, what are the ramifications to a business if you have to let somebody go?
Short answer to that, there is none. This is training, ultimately, so you're trying to upskill your employees. One thing I will say is that the employee actually owns the apprenticeship. So if they then go off to another business and they want to finish their apprenticeship at that other business, they can just carry it on to the other business. So for a levy payer, it won't mean anything to them, but for the non-levy payer, they will still lose that 10%, and the new company that puts them through the apprenticeship has to pay the 10% again.
Okay, that's interesting, thank you. If an apprentice, after finishing their first course, then decides to go on a second level, does the employee get the funding for the second year too?
Yes, they can't be co-funded, so they can't be doing, I should have mentioned this during the presentation actually, thanks for pointing that out. If the learner is, or the potential employee who's going to be a learner, is already studying, let's say, an open university course in their own time, they can't be co-funded. They can only go through one course at any one time, so they can only get the funding for that. Now, the British Institute of Recruiters' job upon completion, and any training provider's job upon completion, is actually to advise the learner as the route, the next place they can go to. So we will explain to them, we'll explain to the employer what the next course is that's appropriate to them. It's pretty straightforward when you're looking at this as a recruiter. It's recruitment resources to start with, recruitment consultants, and then after that, team leader. So you can see the route, you can see the career plan. We've got companies that are setting that out. That's how they want to employ people going forward with this kind of training, kind of career ahead of them.
Okay, thank you. So a couple more questions. So can someone be put through a resources apprenticeship if they've already just finished a sales-based apprenticeship?
Yes, we've got people that have just finished business admin and they're just going straight through to the recruitment one. There is no particular area you can start. I mean, if you wanted to start as a recruitment consultant, yeah, absolutely. A lot of our businesses that we work with have a 360 model. They don't have a resourcing model, so you can go straight into that one. So the only thing I will say, for team leader, you've got to a management position for recruitment resource, recruitment consultant, that's absolutely fine. My point would be they've got to be doing the role for it to be appropriate, because it's, you know, it's a on-the-job training is appropriate to what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so one more question. How long do the qualifications take to complete, Aaron?
So the recruitment ones are all 12 months. However, saying that, we always allow for a month at the end of it for endpoint assessment. The endpoint assessment is done and carried out by an independent organisation. At the endpoint assessment, both the tutor and one of your managers will be there as well, to give you encouragement and to get you through it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say 12 to 13 months is the conservative estimate for that. The HR support one, if anyone is interested, that's an 18-month course. Also, when you complete that, if you want to go and do the CIPD level 5, you only have to do 18 months instead of 24, because you've already completed some of the units in the HR support course.
Okay, brilliant. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Aaron, for answering those questions. There was just one other one, and somebody said, can people do other courses apart from the Recruitment Accelerator courses? So at this stage, if you contact APSCo directly, I'll be able to tell you exactly which courses are covered under the free training banner. Okay, back to you, Aaron.
Brilliant. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed today. If anyone has any other questions, I'm sure myself or Charlotte would be happy to go through them. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.